They say Mount Kilimanjaro was discovered in 1848 by a European missionary named Johannes Rebmann. But I ask you today, how do you discover something that has existed for thousands of years, that generations of African people had already lived beside, worshipped, and protected? Our ancestors knew Kilimanjaro before any European map was ever drawn. They gave it names. The Chaga called it Kilimanjaro. The Maasai called it Old Doinyo Abor, the White Mountain. They built their lives around it and told their children stories of its snow that touched the sky. So tell me, who discovered who? This is the sickness of colonial history. They arrive with their pens, and they believe that once they write it down, it becomes theirs. They believe that nothing exists until they have named it, until they have recorded it in their language, in their version of the truth. But Africa's truth existed long before their ink, long before their maps, long before their so-called discovery. You cannot discover a land that already has people. You cannot discover a mountain that already has a name. You can only claim it. And that is what they did. They claimed, not discovered. They said Johannes Rebmann saw snow near the equator and no one believed him. They laughed, because to them, Africa was nothing but heat, jungle, and chaos. They could not imagine that beauty, that mystery, that majesty existed here. Because to accept that would be to accept that Africa is more than the lies they wrote, more than the image they painted. And that is why we must rewrite our own history. Because for too long, we've allowed others to define our beginning. They made our ancestors invisible. They made our mountains theirs. They made our greatness a footnote. But now we must speak the truth. Mount Kilimanjaro was not discovered in 1848. It was only noticed by the invader. It was recorded by the colonizer. But it has always belonged to Africa, to her people, to her soil, to her story. Our duty today is not to keep repeating their version of history. Our duty is to restore what was stolen, not just our land, but our narrative, our pride, our memory. Because Africa does not need to be discovered. Africa only needs to be remembered, and that remembrance begins with us.